to load data in AQS. The easiest thing to do is first enter AQS, then go to the Batch menu item, and that opens up a screen that shows your most recent activity. At the bottom right of this screen, there's a button that says Go to ENSC, Go to the Exchange Network. You click that, and that opens up a new browser window where you log in using the credentials that you got already. If you've already loaded data in AQS, you can go to My Services Center. If this is the first time you've loaded data through the Exchange Network into AQS, you go to Exchange Network Services tab and then just search for AQS in this right panel. Click Search, and it will come up with Submit AQS Data. So click on Send Info for AQS Submit, and then that opens up this panel where you can upload a file and input your information so that it knows what screening group this data should go into. You click Choose File, and then on your computer navigate to the file you want to upload. I'm going to upload a file from the 1st of July of this year, only 4 hours. I strongly recommend naming your files and logging them in your database or AQS or just your personal logbook. Put in your email address so the system can email you and tell you when it either succeeded or failed. And then you have to put in your AQS user ID, and then you have to select what screening group you want this data to go into. So you find your screening group, and then this file could be either an XML, which looks like a web page if you have the style sheets, or a flat file. In this case, we're loading just a pipe delimited flat file, and we want to take it all the way to post. So if it can go through, we want it to go all the way through, and we want to say no, stop on errors, which means that if some of the rows can't load, it will continue trying to load the rest of the rows and give you a message about what rows didn't load. Then you go to the very bottom and click Send Data, and then it takes you to a screen that says Request Received, and it says it's just processing it. Then to see how it's doing, you can click View the Status of this request in My Activity, and that opens up a panel in which it tells you, yes, it's processing, and it'll take a while, hopefully not more than about 10 seconds or so. You can keep clicking Refresh Activity. It will also send you an email letting you know the status once it's either processed and rejected or processed and accepted. It will also send you an email saying pending, and it will tell you pending until finally you see the magic words completed. And it tells you specifically, because we told it, remember, to go all the way through to post. So it tells us that 4 rows were staged, and that's the first step. There weren't any rows that failed to stage. Then the next step is loading. 4 rows loaded. There were 0 rows with load errors. AQS system did a stat-CR report on 4 rows, and the stat-CR didn't have to skip any monitors. And the number of transactions processed by post are 4. The number of records skipped by post is 0. So if there were errors in some of the rows, they would be skipped. In this case, 4 rows were taken all the way to post. If you want to, you can click on this transaction ID to get more information, and then also you will get an email about this. So now let's go into AQS and look at these 4 rows that we loaded into AQS. Back in AQS, if you go to the batch screen, that screen has 2 tabs, Process by File and History. You could see the most recent file on top that we loaded. It gives you 4 records in the file. It tells you the file name here, and sometimes you can't see all of the file name, so you can click in the field, and then it won't go all the way to the end of the file, but pretty close by using the right arrow on your keyboard. It tells you that it went all the way through to post. It loaded 4 records in post, and there were 0 records that failed to load. So we just loaded 4 raw data records into AQS. To make sure that they're in here, let's go to Maintenance, Sample Values, Raw Data. Then, again, this opens up in a query window, so it needs some information for you, and then you need to click the Run Query button. So I'm going to enter the tribal code that we're using for the Colville tribe. Then I'm going to tell it, because there are 2 sites, I'm going to tell it which site I want to look at. And then I'm going to click this button, Execute Query, and it pulls up what it finds for this tribal code, and it fills in the missing information because all it needs is the tribal code and the site ID. And it gives us the 4 rows with the data that we entered. You can see that if you load only a few records at a time, it's easy to see what's going on. So you've just uploaded 4 records into AQS. Congratulations! The next video will show what to do when things go wrong.